All right, so I've made these castanets. I wanted to talk a little bit about making stuff. It's been a long time since I actually completed a project, and so I wanted to talk about these. These are castanets. They're an instrument, they're a percussion instrument for making flamenco music, Mexican, Spanish cultures. Um, Here is how they work. You wrap your thumb around these loops, and then make percussion sounds. I'm not super great at it. There's a lot to learn, but that's functionally how they operate. Now, I want to talk a little bit about making stuff, so come over here. So I spent a lot of time with this project on the sander, on the belt sander and with the sandpaper, and doing lots of sanding, doing lots of small sanding. And I'll demonstrate what that looks like, just for those of us who want to know. All right. So 120 grit sandpaper. We'll talk more about sandpaper here in a second. But I spent a lot of time doing this, sanding down the castanets. And what that means is I learned a lot about the castanets in terms of experiential learning. Experiential learning is learning through experience. I'm learning something about the castanets by creating them, by making them. And that's really important. Whenever I make something, whenever you make something, you are participating in a story that has been going along unbroken since the dawn of man. That's what humans do. We make stuff, we build stuff. And what does that do for us? It gives us experiential knowledge. Experiential learning gives us experiential knowledge. Experiential knowledge is we have experience about this particular thing that nobody else has. I have very specific knowledge about these castanets because I built them, because I created them. And what does that do for me? It helps me learn about myself. Experiential knowledge helps me to learn things about myself because I know about the castanets. I know these castanets because I created the castanets. And what that does is it gives me an opportunity to relate these castanets to myself and my body and how I experience life and everything else. Because I've used the socket wrench, for example, I know things about the socket wrench because I've used this tool before. I know things about the tape. I know things about the Dremel. I know things about the drill. I know things about the castanets. And I know what makes them all different. I know what makes them all different because I have experiential knowledge in all of these things. And what all those things do, what all that information does for me is it gives me an opportunity to learn about myself. It teaches me, and this may seem a little silly, it teaches me what makes me different from the castanets, what makes me different from the socket wrench, what makes me, my person, my body, and my things different from all of these other things. And in this way, I gain experiential knowledge about myself by comparing myself to all of these other things. And that's true of a lot of things. It's true of cars, it's true of being in the kayak, it's true of riding a bike. Like, we gain experiential knowledge by using tools and materials to do work. And we gain even further experiential knowledge by making stuff, by making things. Because by making things, we gain an intimate experiential knowledge about this particular object. And so therefore, by using it, I gain even more knowledge, I gain even more experiential knowledge than the socket wrench. I gain even more experiential knowledge about the castanets than the socket wrench because I built the castanets. I did not build the socket wrench. My point of all this is that making something is how you gain experiential knowledge about yourself. And I learned a little bit about myself, a very little bit about myself, which is really hard to do. I learned a little bit about myself by making the castanets, and that's what makes them powerful, and that's what makes them good.